Welcome to Pastoring on Purpose, the official podcast of the Center for Ministerial Care. Coming to you live from the floor of the 2026 Church of God International General Assembly in beautiful Orlando, Florida.
Welcome to another episode of Pastoring on Purpose. And Ryan, I think this might be our last podcast.
Not ever. Not ever.
No, not ever. And not ever in Orlando, because we're probably going to do this again next General Assembly, more than likely.
I hope so. These mini episodes of General Assembly are always so much fun.
We have a blast with it, don't we?
Yeah.
No, I really enjoy it. But as for this edition of 2026 General Assembly here in Orlando, this will probably be our last one. Needless to say, though, we're in for a treat because today we have with us Francis Rodriquez.
How's it going, everybody?
Good, man. Good. How are you doing?
Good, doing great.
You can't see this, but man, Francis is all dressed up, man. He's got a suit on, he's got his tie on. I feel very underdressed right now.
Yeah, this is the best suit I had.
Is it really? Well, hey, man. I hear you. We are looking very sharp, by the
Thank
way,
you,
Francis. Francis is a college student at Lee now, a pastoral ministry major, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Also, my son's best friend. They are joined at the hip. As a great young kid. I say kid, you're a young man, you're not a kid. Man, thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, of course. Hey, thank you for having me.
No problem. Just share with us a little bit, our listeners out there that don't know you. Who are you? Who is Francis? Kind of give us a backstory about yourself for a moment.
Well, like you said, my name is Francis Rodriquez, and I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. I was born in Guayama, Puerto Rico. That's right on the bottom of the island. But I grew up in Salinas and Ponce as well. Okay. And that's just kind of where my family was spread out right there at the bottom of the island. Loved it there. I moved to the United States in 2014, right around the summertime, and we just landed in Cleveland, Tennessee.
How old were you when you moved?
I was 9 years old.
9 years old,
when I moved, yes. And so we landed right there in Cleveland, Tennessee, thanks to one of my mom's friends. We were able to just kind of settle in her place until we grabbed our footing and just stayed in Cleveland.
Yeah. Were you Church of God in Puerto Rico? And how did you become Church of God?
In Puerto Rico, to my knowledge, at least in my area, there wasn't a lot of Church of God churches.
Uh-huh.
My family, well, my mom and my dad, they believe in God, but they don't go to church very often.
Yeah.
I would go to church with them occasionally, but it was really my grandmother that would take me to church all the time. And my parents, though, they did always encourage me to go to church with her and wanted me to, live the way that God wanted me to. And so that encouragement from them really helped. The Church of God route actually came from landing in Cleveland. When I was in middle school, I was looking for a church, and I just didn't know where to go. But one of my friends at the time, his name is Nathan Hanrahan, he asked me to just test out their youth service, and I agreed. And so I caught a ride and landed in North Cleveland Church of God. Wonderful church.
Yeah,
absolutely. Right there in Cleveland, Tennessee. I've been there ever since.
Well, that's awesome, man. And North Cleveland is a pretty good church, right?
Yeah,
really
very,
good church.
Very nice.
Very strong church. And so you end up in Cleveland. Tell me a little bit about your calling and how did that came about, because you're called to pastoral ministry.
Yes.
When did you find that out? When did the Lord reveal that to you, and how did you find out?
Growing up, my dad told me, and my mom, we were in church one time, and this was back in Puerto Rico, and the pastor of our church, a very Pentecostal church, they prophesied over my life that I would be a preacher.
Okay.
And growing up, my dad always told me that. But to me, that's not what I wanted to be. Growing up, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a doctor.
Yeah.
Preacher just didn't really sound like my thing. And I've always considered myself a fairly personable person.
Uh-huh.
And so whenever I got into my senior year of high school, I thought, well, maybe advertising or marketing, that might be my thing.
Yeah, don't do that.
Take it for someone who knows, right?
Yeah. So that's kind of where I was leaning, but I was always involved in church, and growing up in North Cleveland, I actually ended up joining Nathan in children's ministry, and I found myself there. And so I was serving there under Pastor Mitch Owens and Kim Owens, and they were great, wonderful people, and they taught me so much, and I loved them, and I saw them as basically a second set of parents at the church. But I fell in love with ministry through them and with kids ministry. And that's kind of where my mind began to wonder, well, maybe ministry, I could be a part of ministry. And one day, this was really in college, I was at an event that Pastor Maloney was hosting, was opening up the Center for, Special Education Individuals.
Real Life Village, right?
Yes, Real Life Village, that is correct. There, I decided to get some service hours. Lee kind of requires those. So I decided to serve there, part of the dinner. And Pastor Maloney, he just gave all the servers kind of like a little speech. And he said something that stuck out to me. And I had prayed actually right before the service, Lord, if ministry really is my calling, then let me hear it from somebody.
Yeah.
And Pastor Maloney, like, he kind of, what he said called it out for me.
Sure.
And that right there, that immediate response, I had just prayed that prayer before I went earlier that day. And lo and behold, that is exactly what I had asked for, what Pastor Maloney had said. And
Wow.
It revealed to me exactly what I needed to do. So I switched my major. I was a psychology major, and I swapped to pastoral ministry. I did keep psychology as a minor.
Okay.
Felt as though it'd still be useful, and
Absolutely.
it's still, an interest of mine.
Yeah. It's really interesting, Ryan, because we had Pastor Maloney on. We talked about Real Life Village. I had no idea about this story of the calling that I knew that you were called, Francis, but I didn't know how that came about. And so it's cool to hear you say that, attributing a lot of that to the Lord using Pastor Maloney, and really in that ministry that you were helping do, get service hours in, that's when God called you. I thought it was kind of cool how that kind of came full circle.
Yes.
Another part of your story, which is really interesting to me, is that you was in Voices. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I joined the Voices of Lee. I can't quite remember the year, but really I was at Chattanooga State, and that's where I started. That's where I started right off of high school. I took a semester gap. My original plan after high school was to join Braden, your son, at MTSU.
At
yes.
Oh, that's right.
Yes,
he was at MTSU. That's
yes.
right.
So we were going to MTSU. However, I would have been a first generation college student, and so I had no idea at all what I was getting myself into. So I backed out of MTSU for financial reasons, and I took a semester gap, and then gathered my footing and chose Chattanooga State. But ultimately, I ended up landing at Lee because I kept praying. I asked the Lord, if this is where you want me to go, open a door for me.
Yeah.
Because Lee's fairly expensive.
It is.
It's on the expensive side, but it's a wonderful institution. I love it. And, through my time in Chattanooga State, I continued going to North Cleveland, and I just kept feeling a tug. I see all my friends having fun, meeting all these people, and I see the Lord working through them in their lives and at Lee. And I began to fall in love with that and just kind of want that. I would also say the kids call it FOMO nowadays, fear of missing out.
Absolutely.
And I would say, through honesty, I did feel a little bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked the Lord, hey, if this is where you really want me to go, then open the door for me financially, And I saw some of my friends in the Voices of Lee, and I thought, well, Lord, this would be a neat way to make it through. And one day I was working at Panda Express, and the Voices of Lee came in for lunch, and that's where I met Danny. And Danny told me to come on through a rehearsal one day, and I did. And that's kind of where we landed. I ended up becoming a redshirt beatboxer for them.
Okay.
And that was the experience.
Had you ever beatboxed before?
I had, yeah. So I had been beatboxing just for fun since I was in 5th grade. I would watch YouTube videos of this guy who played Call of Duty, and he would just beatbox for the people in the lobby, and he would just get reactions and post them on YouTube, and I absolutely fell in love with that, and I took off, and I tried to, recreate those sounds, and I would watch tutorials, and I fell in love with it and had done it all the way up. So it was something I was fairly comfortable doing.
And it's much more complicated than people think. It's just like making
noise,
noise with your mouth.
No.
And there's actually a lot of skill involved with breathing and things because
Yes.
you don't stop. Like
Yes.
that beat keeps going the whole 4 minutes that everyone else is singing.
Yeah.
You don't get to pause this. And so so it's actually not easy.
Yeah,
and
you have to understand that there are some sounds that bring in air and there are sounds that exhale air, and you have to mix those in, and you just there becomes a point where it becomes second nature to just like use those filler sounds. At the beginning, it can be tricky for sure, and there definitely is a lot that goes into it.
Well, we want to let Tim beatbox for a second, and then we're
there was a time when I was thinking about becoming a professional beatboxer back in the day.
Right.
I thought, what?
We would love, if you wouldn't mind, we'd love to hear just for a minute. If you don't care.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That's amazing.
Awesome. That's amazing. I could have heard that a little bit longer. That was amazing, man.
That was all his mouth.
I know it. Yeah, that was not like our producer did nothing with that. By the way, I mean, I have a hard time clapping on beat, let alone beatboxing. So there's more to this story, because progress with the story if you don't mind. So for our listeners,
through my time in Voices, my parents actually ended up getting a divorce not too long before that. I was 17 when my parents were divorced. And for a while, I kind of blamed myself for that. But, there came a time where I realized that, hey, it had nothing to do with me. And,
Sure.
I kind of progressed through that emotionally. While I was in Voices, my mom was the only one working and providing for the house. And, in charge of not just my brother, he is an autistic child. However, he is highly functioning. He's very intelligent.
Yeah.
But, as a parent, you have to care a little differently. Since I was in Voices, I did not have a job, so she also had to provide for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
In this day and age is pretty difficult. Yeah, it's pretty tough. And so my mom, she was just honest with me one day, and she told me, hey, this is kind of what I'm going through, and this is how I'm struggling, and I love that you're pursuing, what you're doing and your calling and everything, but is there any way that, we can help each other out?
Yeah.
And there came a time where I did have to make a decision.
Sure.
I decided ultimately that benefiting my mom and providing would be the best thing that I could do. And, in Scripture, the Lord tells you help provide for mom and dad.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I wanted to do. So I spoke with Danny. I had a very honest talk. And so I left the Voices of Lee, and I picked up a job. I went to Walmart, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I do asset protection for them there.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been there ever since, just providing for my mom. And the best way that I can while continuing to pursue my studies.
And you're working 40 hours a week, right?
Yes.
For those of you who may not be aware, Voices of Lee, it's a commitment. It's pretty much a full-time job. So to be able to be in Voices of Lee, work a full-time job, 40 hours a week at Walmart, as well as keep up with your studies, nearly impossible, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it's fairly difficult. I have heard of people working and being in Voices and, continuing their studies in the past. And honestly, kudos to them.
Yeah.
They're absolutely incredible.
Absolutely.
I've had the opportunity to meet one or two of them, and they are just incredible people. For me, that was
Not
just
for you.
Yeah, that was just something that I don't believe I could have done.
Yeah.
It's just very tough on me.
Yeah. That had to be a tough decision because, let's be honest, being in Voices of Lee, it's kind of an exclusive group. I mean, you have to be really good. I never was asked to be in Voices. Of course, I don't sing at all, so I don't know why they would. But you have to be really good to be able to do that.
And parting ways with Voices of Lee, did that affect like your scholarship or your financial abilities with attending Lee?
It did slightly. The Voices of Lee does provide a financial scholarship, and that definitely helped me out big time. However, I don't come from the most financially stable family, so luckily FAFSA and everything was able to still cover my time at Lee and my scholarship. So
you made adjustments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was able to make adjustments through that and still go to Lee no problem that way.
Good.
I think there's something beautiful, though, that I don't want to miss about this because you made a decision that you believe was best for your family, for you, your mother, everyone involved at a very young age. It's not easy to make that kind of decision, and you've made that sacrifice. Was it hard for you to do that?
It definitely was. The Voices of Lee was a group that I loved, and I do love Danny Murray, and I love that crew that I was with, and I was so blessed to have spent that time with them, learning and traveling and getting to meet and connect with so many people.
Yeah.
And it's really what I love to do. I grew up doing theater and show choir and everything, and I love being on the stage. Being on the stage is just, it's such an incredible feeling to me. I love it. And having to leave that behind was hard. I really did want to stay, and I wanted to find a way to make it work with Danny, but I knew that I had to comply with the limitations of my body and still be able to provide for my family, because ultimately I held that at a higher standard than I did everything else.
Really, really admirable, Francis. Now, you said earlier that you're pretty personable. I think that's even an understatement. You haven't met anyone that's a stranger, I don't think. You have no problem talking to people. You have such a great personality, and you leave an impression with people whenever they see you, and I think that speaks very highly of you, quite frankly. If you continue on this trajectory that you're doing, I have no doubt God is going to bless you. And, man, I just could be more proud of you, quite frankly. My son picks pretty good friends, I think.
Yeah. What year are you at Lee now?
So since I took that semester gap after high school, I'll be going into my second semester of my junior year at the university.
Yeah, things are looking up for you. So proud of you. Thanks
you.
for being with us today, Francis.
Yeah, of
course. Yeah, absolutely. Now, how old are you?
I am 21 years old.
21 years old, just in case our listeners may not be aware. Anything you want to kind of share with our listeners out there, our pastors, leaders, before we leave?
Honestly, just keep on pushing. You know, the Lord really will provide, and there is so much joy and peace with Him whenever you follow what He has for you. So
Absolutely.
just ask, and you shall receive.
Another thing about Francis here that's going to take it, he's bilingual.
Yes.
And as we know, that's pretty important today, I would imagine.
It's going to definitely be something that serves you very well as you pursue your calling.
Yeah, absolutely. I took a semester of German
Really?
in high school. I don't know what I'm going to do with that.
I took 2 years of French. All I remember is Les lunes faits de fromage bleu, which
Yeah,
is
There you
just
go.
Yeah, I took a little bit of
moon-
French in high school as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the moon
did.
is made of blue cheese. That's
Yeah.
the only sentence that I know.
All I can my German name was Udo for some reason.
Udo?
I love the word papillon. Is that butterfly in French?
Yeah,
It's
that's
a
it.
fun
That's
word
it.
to say.
Yep.
Yeah, my name was Udo, and all I can remember is Ich heiße Udo, which is just my name is. So that's
Pastoring on purpose with Udo.
That's right. I never should have admitted that. I never should have admitted that. I'm now going to be Udo from now on,
Does
unfortunately.
that have a specific meaning or anything?
I don't think so. I don't think. Now, if it was Spanish, it'd be, or Espanol, Timoteo. Is that right? Timoteo?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, mi nombre es Timoteo.
Yeah. So, anyways. All right, that's enough language lesson for this episode, all right? So thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome to have you, man. For Francis, for myself, for co-host here and producer Ryan, this has been Pastoring on Purpose in Orlando, Florida, and we will see you next time. And until then, God bless.